All right, get ready because today we're going deep into the world of aircraft cargo operations coordinators.
That's right.
We're going to help you get ready for that interview. You're
Absolutely.
going for a job that's basically the air traffic control for cargo.
Yeah.
High stakes, fast-paced,
It's an exciting field.
keeps that global supply chain moving.
Keeps the world turning, really.
To help get you ready, we have some awesome resources today.
We do.
We've got detailed career guides, sample interview questions from RoleCatcher, and we'll even throw in some insights about how AI can give you an edge in this whole process.
It's pretty amazing how much AI is changing things.
Get ready to learn how to ace this interview and maybe even discover a passion for aviation you didn't know you had.
I love that.
So first, let's understand what this role is really about.
Okay.
It's more than just managing boxes, right?
Yeah, you're not just managing boxes, you're really orchestrating this complex dance
Oh, I like that.
of logistics, safety, and efficiency. People, planes, packages.
Exactly. You got to keep all those things moving smoothly.
You got it.
So our career guide actually says that an aircraft cargo operations coordinator directs and coordinates all cargo-related activities at an air transport terminal.
That's a mouthful.
It is.
Yeah.
So what does that actually look like day to day?
Well, you're basically the conductor of this orchestra. You're reviewing flight data as it comes in, planning out the workflow, making sure everything's in place.
Oh, so you're thinking ahead.
Always thinking ahead.
Got it.
Making sure everything's ready for a seamless loading and unloading of all that cargo.
Wow, so you've got to be really organized.
Organized, detail-oriented.
On top of things.
You need to be able to think on your feet, too.
Right, because things can change quickly, I imagine.
Oh, absolutely.
And you've got to be able to adapt.
Exactly.
The career guide highlights monitoring and public safety and security as really key skills for this role.
That's so true.
What does that actually mean in practice?
Well, you need to have a close eye on everything that's happening.
Like a hawk
Yeah, while at the same time making sure the work environment is safe and secure
for everyone.
for everyone involved.
So it's a lot of responsibility,
It is.
but it also sounds pretty rewarding.
It is. It's a rewarding field. You're playing a crucial role in keeping things moving.
And making sure things arrive safely.
Exactly. No small feat.
All right, so let's get into the nitty-gritty.
Okay.
The interview itself.
Let's do it.
We have some sample questions from RoleCatcher
These are great.
that are designed to help you really shine in that interview.
Prepare you for what to expect.
Now, these questions are more than just like fact-checking, right?
Oh, absolutely.
They're designed to really see how you think,
Critical thinking,
how you solve problems,
problem-solving skills.
and how you handle pressure.
How do you react under pressure?
Because this is a fast-paced world.
It's a high-pressure environment for sure.
So let's tackle the first one.
All right.
Can you describe your experience working in aircraft cargo operations? It seems pretty straightforward, but what are the interviewers actually looking for here?
They want to know what you've actually done.
Okay.
They want to understand your practical experience and how you can actually articulate it.
So how would you approach this question?
Well, it's your chance to highlight the tasks and responsibilities that show that you understand what this role is all about,
Right.
even if you haven't held the exact title before.
So it's not just about listing off previous jobs. Right. It's about really showcasing what you've done.
Exactly.
What kind of examples would really impress an interviewer?
So let's say you worked as a baggage handler.
Oh,
Don't just say that.
right.
Describe how you coordinated the movement of all those bags.
Okay.
Talk about how you made sure all the safety procedures were being followed.
Hmm.
Maybe even how you resolved a tricky situation, involving like oversized luggage or something.
Oh, yeah, those real-world examples.
Those real-world examples are gold.
So thinking about specific achievements
Yes.
and quantifying them whenever possible.
Numbers. Everyone loves numbers.
Right, because that gives a much clearer picture of what you've actually done.
It paints a much clearer picture.
And it shows that you can think in those terms.
Exactly.
I know we're going to talk about this more later, but I've heard that RoleCatcher's AI can help with these answers.
Oh, absolutely.
Can you give us a little sneak peek?
Well, it can actually analyze job descriptions
Okay.
and suggest ways to tailor your answers
Wow.
to highlight the skills that are most relevant for that specific role.
So it's like having a personalized interview coach in your pocket.
Pretty much. It's amazing what AI can do these days.
That's super helpful, especially if you're applying for multiple jobs.
Definitely.
All right, so let's move on to question number 2.
Okay, hit me.
How would you ensure compliance with safety regulations when handling cargo?
No, we're talking.
Now, safety, I imagine, is like the #1 priority in this field.
Absolutely paramount.
So what's the interviewer really trying to get at with this question?
They want to know if you're just going to follow the rules blindly
Right.
Or if you're someone who actively thinks about safety.
Okay.
Are you proactive? Do you take initiative? Do you care about maintaining a safe environment for you and your colleagues?
That makes sense.
They want to know if you're someone they can trust to keep things running smoothly and safely.
So how can our listeners really nail this answer?
Go beyond just stating the rules, right?
Yeah.
Show them you understand why those regulations are in place. Mention specific examples like IAT guidelines or TSA security protocols.
Okay, get specific.
Yeah.
Show that you know your stuff.
Exactly.
And what about actually putting those regulations into practice?
Perfect. Talk about how you've implemented those regulations in past roles.
Okay, give us an example.
Let's say you developed a checklist for cargo inspections.
Okay.
Or maybe you trained colleagues on how to handle hazardous materials.
Oh, yeah.
Specific examples that show you've gone above and beyond.
So you're not just following the rules, you're actively promoting safety.
Exactly. And taking initiative, which is a huge plus in this field.
And remember, it's always good to tie your answer back to what's in the job description.
Oh, absolutely.
Because that shows that you've done your research and that you're genuinely interested in this particular role.
Shows you're paying attention.
All right, let's move on to question number 3.
Okay, bring it on.
This one's a classic. Can you describe a time when you had to resolve a conflict between team members?
Ah, teamwork.
Why is this question such a staple in interviews?
Because teamwork is absolutely essential in this role. You're constantly interacting with colleagues, ground crew, pilots, all sorts of people.
You got to be able to work with everyone.
Exactly.
So what's the interviewer really looking for here?
They want to see how you handle those interpersonal challenges.
Okay.
How do you navigate those tricky situations? Can you maintain a positive work environment even when things get tough?
So it's not enough to just say, oh, I get along with everyone.
No.
You've got to have a real example.
Give them a specific situation that shows off your skills.
Okay, give us a scenario that would really impress.
Let's say there was a disagreement about the loading order of the cargo.
Oh, yeah, that could happen.
Absolutely.
Things get backed up.
Maybe a time-sensitive shipment needs to be prioritized.
Okay.
But it disrupts the usual workflow.
I can see how that would cause some tension.
Right.
Yeah.
So how did you handle it? Did you listen to both sides? Did you consider everyone's priorities and constraints?
And then what?
And then, boom,
Yeah.
you facilitated a compromise
Like boss.
that ensured both safety and efficiency.
So it's all about showing that you can handle those tough conversations.
Yes.
With diplomacy.
Diplomacy is
Problem-solving skills.
Exactly.
And that you can ultimately find a solution that benefits the entire team.
You got it.
All right, that's a wrap on the first 3 questions for now.
Wow, we're on a roll.
But there's still a lot more to unpack.
So much more.
We'll tackle more questions in the next part of our deep dive.
Can't wait.
So stay tuned, folks.
Buckle up.
This is just the beginning.
We're just getting started.
Welcome back to our deep dive into becoming an aircraft cargo operations coordinator.
We're ready for round 2.
In part 1, we tackled some tough interview questions.
We did.
Now let's talk about how AI can help you prepare.
Okay, let's talk AI.
So technology is changing the game when it comes to getting hired.
It really is.
The Beat the Automated Recruiter section of the career guide mentions that lots of companies are using AI now
They are.
to screen resumes and basically choose who gets interviewed.
Yeah, it's like a digital gatekeeper.
So how do you make sure your resume stands out to a robot?
It's good. And to a human.
That's where RoleCatcher comes in.
Okay, tell me more.
RoleCatcher uses AI to analyze job descriptions and figure out the key skills and keywords they're looking for.
So it's like having an AI detective
I like that.
decoding the secret language of recruiters.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so it helps you tailor your resume to highlight those things,
It does.
making sure it gets noticed by both the robots and the humans.
That's amazing.
It is.
But can AI help with the actual interview too?
Absolutely. RoleCatcher's AI can actually give you insights into the types of questions you might be asked
Based on the role.
based on the specific role and company you're interviewing with.
So you can practice those questions
You can get feedback.
and get AI-powered feedback on your delivery, how you sound, what you're saying.
So it's like having a mock interview with an AI.
That's exactly what it's like.
That is incredible.
It's like having a personal interview coach in your pocket.
Okay, I am convinced.
Yeah.
AI is a game changer when it comes to interview prep.
For sure.
So let's go back to those interview questions
All right, let's dive back in.
and talk about some potential follow-up questions.
Okay, good idea.
Remember that first question. Can you describe your experience working in aircraft cargo operations?
I remember.
What kind of follow-up questions should our listeners be ready for?
Well, they might ask you about specific challenges you've faced.
In a past role. Yeah, and how you overcame them.
Okay.
They might say something like, tell me about a time you had to deal with a difficult customer.
Ooh.
Or how did you resolve a conflict with a coworker?
So they're looking for those real-life examples again.
They want to see how you handle those situations.
What's a good strategy for answering those kinds of questions?
The STAR method is a classic.
What's that?
It stands for situation, task, action, result.
Okay.
So start by describing the situation.
Okay.
Then outline the task you had to do.
Okay.
Explain what actions you took. And then highlight the positive outcome.
So it's like telling a mini story.
It is a story that shows off your skills.
And your accomplishments.
Exactly. And remember, be specific.
Don't just say you fixed the problem.
Right. Tell them exactly what you did and what the positive result was.
Okay, so be specific and tell a story.
You got it.
Now, what about that second question on safety? How would you ensure compliance with safety regulations when handling cargo? Any potential follow-ups there?
They might ask for a specific example
Of what?
of a time when you went above and beyond to make sure things were safe.
Right.
Or they might ask, what would you do if you saw a coworker breaking a safety rule?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
It is. They're really testing your commitment to safety.
And what you would do in a tricky situation.
Yeah, how would you handle it?
So you can use examples from past jobs,
Absolutely.
even if they weren't related to aviation.
It's all about showing that you're safety conscious.
Okay, what about that third question about conflict resolution? Can you describe a time when you had to resolve a conflict between team members?
Oh yeah, they might follow up with, what was the most difficult conflict you've ever had to resolve?
Okay.
And what did you learn from it?
Ooh, getting deep.
Right. Or they might ask, how do you handle disagreements when people communicate differently?
Those are really getting at the heart of how you work with others.
They are. They want to know how you navigate those relationships.
And the key here is to be empathetic.
Yes. Empathy is huge.
Listen to what others are saying
Active listening is key.
and try to find a compromise.
Exactly.
Okay, let's move on to question number 4.
Okay, hit me.
How do you prioritize tasks when working on multiple projects at once?
The juggling act.
Any follow-up questions we should be ready for?
They might ask, what happens when your priorities change all of a sudden?
Because that happens a lot in this job.
All the time. Things are constantly changing.
Or they might ask, tell me about a time you had to delegate tasks to others.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
How did you make sure those tasks were done correctly?
Delegation is a key skill in this role.
It's about being flexible
Organized.
and a good leader.
Okay, what about that question on handling delayed or lost shipments? How do you handle a situation where a shipment is delayed or lost? Any follow-ups on that one?
Oh, for sure.
What kind?
They might ask, how do you keep customers in the loop when there's a delay?
Oh yeah, communication is key.
Or what would you do to prevent this from happening again? So they want to see that you can learn from your mistakes.
And that you're proactive in preventing future problems.
And the career guide emphasizes customer service and communication as key skills.
Those are really important in this role.
Okay, so we've got to highlight those things.
Absolutely.
All right, moving on to question 6, the one about loading cargo safely and efficiently onto the aircraft.
How do you ensure that cargo is loaded safely and efficiently onto the aircraft?
What kind of follow-up questions could we get here?
They might ask you about a specific type of cargo you've handled before
Okay,
and the safety procedures you followed.
so be ready to give a specific example.
Yes.
Or they might throw you a curveball.
A hypothetical situation.
Like, what would you do if a shipment arrived at the last minute without the right paperwork?
Oh, I like that one.
So you have to think on your feet.
Exactly. They want to see how you handle those unexpected challenges.
And RoleCatcher can actually help you prepare for those, Reiki.
It can. By looking at the job description, it can give you a heads up about the types of cargo you might deal with in this role.
Okay, so RoleCatcher is like our secret weapon for this whole interview process.
I think so.
All right, on to question 7, the one about documentation and record keeping.
How do you manage documentation and record keeping related to cargo operations?
What follow-up questions could come from that one?
They might ask about specific software systems you've used,
Oh,
or they might ask about a time you had to find a missing document,
Ooh, yeah.
or fix a mistake in the records.
So attention to detail is super important.
It's everything in this part of the job.
Okay, last but not least, that question about inventory management.
How do you ensure that cargo is transported safely and efficiently from the aircraft to its final destination?
What kind of follow-ups might we see here?
They could ask about how you would manage a really big or complicated inventory,
Okay,
or what you would do if the physical inventory didn't match the records,
so it's all about problem solving.
and making sure things are accurate.
Wow, we have covered so much today.
Yeah,
It's been an intense deep dive,
it has.
but I think our listeners are ready to tackle those interview questions.
I think so too.
Being prepared for those follow-up questions is key.
It really is.
It shows that you can think on your feet and you can handle anything they throw at you.
Exactly.
So in part 3, we'll explore potential career paths and advancement opportunities in this field.
It's a field with a lot of potential.
But for now, review those sample questions and remember, RoleCatcher is your secret weapon for acing that interview.
Use those tools.
Welcome back for the final part of our deep dive into becoming an aircraft cargo operations coordinator.
We're ready to wrap things up.
We've explored the role, tackled those interview questions,
We even talked about AI.
and now it can give you a real edge.
It's a game changer.
So now let's talk about what happens after you land that job.
Okay.
What kind of career path are we looking at here?
Well, this field offers a lot of room for growth
Okay, good to know.
and specialization, so you can really make it your own.
Okay, I like that.
It's not a one-size-fits-all kind of career.
So what would that growth look like?
Well, imagine you start as a coordinator, right? Mastering that day-to-day cargo movement.
Keeping those planes moving.
Yeah, but then you gain experience, maybe become a supervisor,
Okay.
leading a team, optimizing the processes.
Making those big decisions.
Yeah, decisions that impact the entire operation.
So from coordinating the flow to conducting the whole orchestra.
Exactly.
I like that analogy.
And then from there, you could even become a terminal manager,
Wow.
responsible for the whole cargo terminal running smoothly.
That's a lot of responsibility.
It is. It's a big job.
What if you're looking for something a little more, I don't know, niche?
Well, that's where those specialisms come in that the career guide mentions.
Okay.
You could focus on certain types of cargo,
Like what?
like dangerous goods maybe, or perishables.
Okay.
Those require specialized knowledge.
Right, you'd have to be an expert.
Exactly. You could be the go-to person for making sure those delicate flowers arrive fresh.
Yeah.
Or those sensitive electronics are handled perfectly.
You'd be the one everyone relies on.
Yeah, you'd be the expert.
Okay, so you could specialize in a certain type of cargo.
Uh-huh.
Are there opportunities outside of just the cargo itself?
Absolutely. You could move into airport operations management in general.
Okay.
Overseeing the flow of everything, passengers, goods, the whole shebang.
Wow, so many options.
It really is like choosing your own adventure.
And it's not just limited to airports, right?
You're right. The skills you learn in this role are super transferable.
Okay, like what?
Well, the career guide mentions related careers,
Okay.
things like rail logistics, freight transport, even vessel operations.
So even if I decide the airport isn't for me,
Mm-hmm.
I still have a solid foundation to build on.
You got it.
Okay, so let's talk about getting started.
Okay.
The career guide talks about entry-level, junior, and senior roles.
It does.
If you're just starting out, what can you do to set yourself up for success?
Well, the getting started section really stresses hands-on experience.
Okay, so internship.
Internships, entry-level positions.
At airports, cargo companies, places like that.
Exactly. Those can give you a real advantage.
What about people already working as coordinators?
Mm-hmm.
What can they do to move up?
Well, the Elevating Your Career section talks about continuous learning.
Okay, so always be learning.
Always be learning. Take courses, workshops
On what?
on things like cargo operations, safety management, leadership skills.
So it's about expanding your knowledge.
Yeah, and showing that you're committed to professional development.
Okay, that makes sense.
And don't forget about networking.
Oh yeah, networking is huge.
Huge. Go to industry events, join professional associations,
Like what?
like the International Air Cargo Association, for example. That can open up all sorts of doors.
It's all about making those connections.
Exactly, and staying in the loop.
And RoleCatcher can actually help with that too, right?
It can.
Beyond just the job search.
It can help you identify new trends, explore different career paths.
Wow, it's like a career companion.
It can even connect you with potential employers.
Okay, we've covered so much in this deep dive.
Ye have.
So to wrap things up,
Okay.
what's the one key takeaway you want our listeners to remember?
Embrace the challenge.
Okay,
Stay curious and never stop learning.
I love that.
The aviation industry is always changing.
So you've got to be ready to adapt.
Exactly. Being adaptable and eager to learn is how you'll succeed in the long run.
Okay, so for our listeners who are getting ready for that interview,
Good luck.
Take a deep breath, be yourself, and let that passion for aviation shine through.
You got this.
We've given you the tools to succeed. Now go out there and make your mark on the world.
We'll be cheering you on.
That's it for this deep dive.
Thanks for joining us.
Until next time.
See you then.